Harrisburg Stampede. Justin Coble with
I gotta change the freaking...
Oh, there it is.
Basically, they were playing
Major
League with a real game, yeah.
Oh, shit, there's the Hattie.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this 96th edition of the Not Another Sports Podcast. My name is Jason.
I'm David.
This is the home of sports talk for the average Joe. Also the home for the Xennial sports fan. If you grew up with your parents pirating Mike Tyson fights and you grew up watching Tyson bite Holyfield's ear off, this is the sports podcast for you.
Oh gosh, I remember that too. That's ridiculous.
I remember because look, that was around the time our area finally got pay-per-view.
Yeah,
and it was one of the few times they fucked up and didn't scramble it. So I was watching it on channel 18.
We had the big ass satellite dish. I mean, the
I'm so jealous that you had that.
God, that thing was huge. That thing was as big as the living room. It was huge.
Let me ask you this: could yours turn to different like satellites?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a reason I'm asking this.
Because basically, if you watch something, let's say USA Network, that's the only one that popped into my head right now. You could watch something 3 hours later. Or, I'm sorry, you could watch something now and then watch it 3 hours again because of changing the
West
satellites.
Coast feed.
Because of changing the satellites. It was hilarious.
So the reason I ask is this past week on the Pro Wrestling Outlaws podcast, Albert had mentioned that his family finally got a big-ass dish in the 90s, but they only got a dish that could only hit one satellite. They didn't get it to where it could move.
Oh. Gotcha.
And that was why I asked that.
Well, another scary part with those dishes, the cone at the receiver end, or where the signal comes in at, a lot of times you got to watch because insects, let's say yellow jackets, will build nests.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that was fun.
Our neighbors had a big ass one when I was growing up. And you know what? They probably had a better feed of the Tyson Paul fight than most of us did.
Oh, probably. Gosh.
Actually, we didn't have too many issues.
Oh my God, dude! I was constantly refreshing. I barely got to watch any of it. I didn't really miss much, but
I mean, there was 108 million people from around the world who had tuned in for the fight. So, I mean, it was a big test of Netflix's ability to live stream, which is going to be very interesting come Christmas Day when the NFL is live streaming on Netflix, and even more interesting a week later when WWE Raw starts broadcasting live on Netflix.
Well, apparently they then have to do a lot of upgrades.
I heard this was a bit of a test run, so
yeah, test run that went oops. Well, what's funny is I saw the perfect video. It's if Netflix did NFL games and it like at certain moments of the game it would like just freeze.
I mean we're gonna find out on Christmas Day.
Oh, it's gonna suck. I can see it now.
Here's my thoughts on the fight. First and foremost, the women's championship fight that was on before Tyson and Paul, hands down one of the greatest fights I've ever watched. Nowhere near as great as the war between Hagler and Hearns. I think that'll always be my gold standard personally for boxing. But it is up there. Those women left everything out in the ring, and the judges hosed the winning fighter because the winning fighter did not win.
Well, let's put it this way. Every time I've watched any type of women fighting, whether it be boxing or UFC, it has always turned into a just nose hold bar go. Just always been a fun fight to watch.
I mean, I wish I had some discussions because this was my in-office day this week. I had some discussions with people at work, and there were some people who felt the men's fight before that. They kind of left it all out, and I'm like, but they still were defensive first fighters. You don't have a lot of offensive first fighters anymore. Um, and I think that that's one of those things that hinders boxing. People don't want to see a defensive fight. They want to see guys leave it all hang out, especially in a title fight. You want to see
Oh my
guys
God,
let it
yeah.
all hang out.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, title fights are where you're there for because you're the champ. Now prove it.
right. Well, I mean, there is the champion's advantage. But
Yeah, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I've watched championship fights where it went 5 rounds to a decision.
you've been to my house to watch fights.
Yeah, and it's just been one of those things to where just come on. It just turns
Uh,
into like just it just turns to me it just turns into a boring fight at that point when you
well,
just
and
see two fighters just
here's
dancing around, just eventually throwing something.
here's what I'm going to say about that. I think guys are more worried about future fights than they are that fight in the moment. I think it's all business now. It's back in the 80s and 90s when we were growing up, guys fought. Yes, they wanted the championship. They wanted the purse, but they also fought for personal pride. They were proving to themselves and to the person they were in the ring against that I'm better than you. And it was a legitimate human chess match. Now it's how little can I get hit and win on points to make more money in my next fight.
I mean, hell, I've seen fighters where they try that exact method you just said, and it turned the shit on them because the other guy got just enough points to beat him out.
Right.
And when it comes, I mean, nobody wants to see a points game for fighting. Now, if don't get me wrong, if a fight is literally just constant throwing, constant action, constant going, and it goes to a decision, okay, I'm okay with that because if you're hitting knockout power and nobody's being knocked out, but you're still throwing, connecting hard shots, I'm cool with that. It's a fight.
Yeah.
Some guys have great chins, and if if it goes to a decision like that, then hey, that's an
Let
exciting fight where nobody can get knocked out.
let
I
it
just don't
all
want
hang
to.
out in a championship fight. Anyway,
Well,
real quick,
It's like UFC
go ahead.
300. It's like UFC 300. It was the BMF fight where literally within the last 10 seconds they both stood in the middle of the ring and just literally threw till 1 second left. The champion got knocked out with 1 second left. I think after that fight, Dana White's press conference, I think he said after that fight, the energy in the room just went out just because the excitement of that whole thing,
Yeah.
the way that fight went on.
It burned the crowd out for the next one because it couldn't match it.
But it was,
Real
you
quick,
couldn't match. It was just the excitement was there.
we're doing our preamble here before the first half, our pregame before the first half. Um, I'm gonna touch on something, and it was a really great point someone made because I saw online a lot of people claiming that the fight was worked, and
It's
uh,
boxing.
one of the talking heads made a great point. If it was a worked fight, don't you think it would have been more exciting?
No.
I do. I think if it was a work fight, look, Tyson's been around pro wrestling long enough between different promotions where he's made appearances. He's a lifelong fan. He's been around the business. He knows how to work a punch. Jake Paul's brother, Logan Paul, might be the best first year pro wrestler I've ever seen in my entire life watching pro wrestling. The guy took to it like a fish in water. Um, I can bet Jake knows how to work a punch. It would have been a far better fight if they worked it than what we saw. I think none of us wanted to accept the fact that Mike Tyson is 58 years old. All of us wanted to see the Mike Tyson of the prime who was, as he once said to a reporter, gonna fuck you till you love me, Mike Tyson. We were expecting the Mike Tyson who was going to uh, eat a guy's heart and feed it to his children or something like all the crazy things Mike said back in the
Yeah.
day. We were expecting that Mike Tyson. We got to remember that that Mike Tyson doesn't exist anymore, and that was a hard reality for, I think, a majority of our listening audience. Based on the stats, I know our audience from the analytics of our show. That's why I say if you're a Xennial sports fan, this is the home for you, because that's the age group we get. We grew up during that period, like I said, where our parents illegally watched the films through through the black box, or we watched them as a teen. Um, that Mike's gone, and when he said after the fight that he had to prove it to himself, any issues I had with the fight were gone, because Mike Tyson, a 58-year-old man who had 8 blood transfusions in the last year leading up to this fight because of health issues, wanted to prove it to himself. Who am I to criticize that fight?
Yeah, I mean, everybody wanted to see Tyson just knock the living shit out of Paul.
And I think
Everybody
Mike
wanted
Tyson
that.
25 years ago would have done that.
25 years ago, he would have killed him. I mean, if Tyson was, again, back in his prime, going up against Paul, Paul would be dead. Paul would be laying on the ground drooling, probably crapping himself or peeing himself, one of the two, if it was that era. You know, but like you said, he is pushing 60, and yeah, proving to himself that he could still do it after everything he's gone through. But still, everybody was still hoping that Tyson would give that one good punch that just was, as they called him, Iron Mike Tyson. That iron would have just landed.
Yeah. Well, now it's time, before we move on, now it's time for Jake Paul to fight real fighters.
Well, isn't he going after Conor McGregor? I heard that.
I don't know.
I heard that part, that, that was a discussion. Oh, Google.
I'm just saying it's time for him to fight someone in boxing at his weight class and really see what he can bring to the sport. Look, great for the sport. He brings more eyes to it, but let's start fighting real professional boxers now.
See here, Conor McGregor stands Jake Paul, astonishing 6 words after the fight. I thought there was going to be something. Jake Paul's dream. Okay, this is probably where I heard of a dream scenario.
Okay.
That's probably where I thought I heard it. Either way, that'd be different, because Conor McGregor did do a boxing match with
Floyd Mayweather.
Mayweather. Yeah. So, I mean, he has that kind of experience, and plus also if it goes the other way for MMA.
I'm just saying, if Jake Paul, and I do believe he cares about the sport, he wouldn't pay women fighters what he does on those cards if he didn't care about growing the sport. I'm just saying it's time to step up and actually fight guys in his weight class that are in their prime, and let's actually see what you bring to the table.
See what you got.
All right, let's get into
I'd watch it.
Go ahead.
I'd watch that.
I would too. He's going to bring eyes to the sport. Let's make it legitimate now.
I mean, let's do it. Let's see what he does. See what happens next, as he's going to come up with something.
Yep. All right, let's get into officially the first half of the show.
Yeah.
So, this week, the Phillies met with Juan Soto. He was now hit the free agent market after the postseason here. Rumor has it his meeting with the Phillies went significantly better than his meeting with the Yankees, to the point where Hal Steinbrenner's already looking to replace Soto in the lineup. Now, that does not mean that Hal Steinbrenner thinks that he's going to the Phillies. He just does not believe that Juan Soto is going back to the Yankees.
Yeah, that's that's going to be interesting. Now, would he be a good fit for the Phillies? That is the question.
Look, I'm not a Juan Soto guy. I don't think I've never thought he's worth the quote unquote $500 million deal he's supposedly looking for. And that was a 2-year thing. It was 2 years ago I heard that number. Um, he has played prior with Harper. He's previously played with Trey Turner. Hitting coach Kevin Long was his hitting coach in the Nationals. I mean, he has ties within the team. Um, I just
You can,
that
you can have
contract, that contract he wants is something I don't want. Because now another thing, you're adding a third huge contract face of the franchise player to this team. What happens if they don't bring it home now? Like what's the excuse this time? You know, I love
aren't
the
the,
Phils.
aren't there a couple of Phillies that are up for free agency?
There were some guys up for they tendered contracts yesterday to Stubbs, and I forget the second person they tendered contracts to who are non-arbitration eligible. The only person that was up was Hayes, and Hayes was non-tendered by the Phils, which is fine. Hayes was kind of a waste of a trade anyway. Um, Let me
I,
see who else
I, I, I thought I saw
they gave.
Bohm's name in there.
Well, Bohm was tendered a contract, but his is probably going to go to arbitration. Bohm, Stott, Marsh, Ranger, and Edmundo Sosa all were tendered contracts, but they're going to be part of arbitration negotiations. Stubbs is going to be a non-arbitration deal, basically giving him another year with the team. Speaking of Bohm, and this is the elephant in the room, is that rumor has it Bohm and Castellanos are on the trading block. I'm a little I'm a little bummed about some of this. I like Bohm. I know the knock on Bohm is he's immature, he's too emotional, but I would rather see an emotional player who, when they strike out, throw their fucking helmet on the ground and show some fire in their belly that they're mad they struck out and they want to do better than, well, we just got to think about tomorrow's game and, we made mistakes today and stop giving me that bullshit. Show me
Yeah,
some you make mistakes. And I see my camera froze.
yes, it did.
Um,
You look very confused in that picture.
I do look very confused in that picture. You're gonna have to give me a minute. I'm gonna keep talking here while I get this back up and running. Um,
Yeah, no, I saw that
but
Castellanos and Bohm were on the block, or that could be on the block for potential trades or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, you got to look at what they've done past years to really. I mean, again, I know we talked about this several times. You can have all the home run power you want, but yet when you can't hit the short ball to get just a hit at
no,
that
I,
point,
I agree wholeheartedly. Can you see me now?
yes, now I can.
Good. Um, Here's why I'm not entirely broken up about Castellanos. Um, Not that I don't like Castellanos, and I really am not quite sold on Juan Soto joining the team, and I've been wrong in the past.
And we all been wrong in the past. We've all been wrong. You froze again.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know.
Welcome to Monday morning, or yeah, feels like a Monday morning.
Monday morning. Holy hell. Let me have my weekend here, David.
That's what it feels like.
It does. It does. This freaking app. I'm gonna have to get a new app for my camera, I believe. Um anyway, Castellanos, if he's on the trade block, it means they think they have a shot at getting Juan Soto. Because they wouldn't be putting him on the block if they didn't think they could land Soto.
But the question
I
is,
don't
will
know.
Soto accept if he wants to come to Philly? Will they entertain? Will the Phillies entertain what he's asking? Because, like you said,
I mean, here's the thing.
you don't want to put yourself behind the eight ball, and now you're screwed.
I mean, here's the thing. The Phils have the capital. John Middleton wants to win. I have a sneaking suspicion this is probably going to happen. Um, I just got to soldier up and accept the fact that more than likely Juan Soto is going to be a Phil, and whether I like it or not. And at this point, they basically have the Avengers of baseball. I mean, at this point, adding Juan Soto is like adding, I don't know, freaking. I don't know. I'm a superhero nerd, and I can't think of someone to compare him to because I want to say the Hulk, but I would say that's Schwarber. So
Captain America? I don't know.
I think that's Harper.
Thor? What about Thor?
We might have to go with Thor.
Or Hawkeye? There's Hawkeye.
There's Hawkeye. I mean, but what I'm saying is they have these collection of big names and big bats. Like it's like they've got the superhero lineup of baseball. Can they just win one now?
But the thing is, though, like we discussed in the past, you can have all the home run hitters you want,
I know.
but one run at a time is not gonna, not
Eh,
gonna give you a good lead in a game. It's just gonna, hey, home run, okay. Hey,
And
back to back home runs, great.
what kills me is I've been to games in person where they put up like the one time we went, they put up a 7-run fifth inning against the Braves, just playing small ball and stealing bases. Do that on the regular. Why are you trying to kill the freaking baseball to get a home run?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because I feel the more you do the small game, that's going to get into the pitcher's head even more.
Mm-hmm.
He gives up one run. Okay, I just gave up a one-run
He
homer.
could shake that
Okay,
off.
yeah. But when you start playing small ball and you're constantly getting hit after hit after hit, and then run after run in, that's going to mess with the pitcher's head. That's going
You
to
know
mess with
who's
the
at
defense's
bats?
head. That's going to mess
You
with
know
the
who's at
team's
bats
head
I
in
used to
general.
love watching? I loved watching Shane Victorino's at bats where he would just he was such a good batter at working the pitcher because he would have like an 18 pitch at bat, just fouling shit
Wearing him
off,
down. Wear the pitch
waiting to
down.
get the pitch he wanted. Like just a
Yeah.
genius at the plate as far as working the pitcher, and I loved watching it. No one on this team does that. We're lucky if they get like 6 pitches at from a pitcher because they're impatient.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody just wants to get it moving. Everybody wants to get that going. But if you can wear that pitcher down, I mean, yeah, he was. Victorine was at that type of batter.
I'm going to make a controversial statement, and a lot of people are not going
Here
to
we
want to
go.
hear this. If we were to take the '08 team in their prime of 2008 against this current lineup, the '08 team's going to sweep a series.
Ooh. Oh, I mean, yeah, the way they played.
Because here's what I'm going to say to you right now. J. Roland leadoff against the current pitching is going to probably get on base 3 out of 5 at bats.
Victorino was always one to be on base. Utley,
Victorino is gonna work the current pitchers into
Utley,
submission.
he would, he'd
Utley's a
be,
grinder. I mean, I don't. No offense to this current team, you're not outworking the '08 team, and I'm gonna say the '08 team is still the greatest team in Phillies history. No offense to the '80 team, who were fantastic, but that '08 team was a different kind of animal.
yeah, I mean, Hamels was pitching well. Lidge was closing left and right. I mean,
And here's the thing: you had Hamels, you had
well, you had Victorino, you had Rollins, you had Utley. Howard was hitting well at the time.
yeah, he didn't become Pedro Serrano just yet.
You
Um,
know, Jason Worth.
but I was gonna say you had Hamels, you had Joe Blanton, you had Jamie Moyer. Like Jamie Moyer was considered elderly for baseball at that point, and he
Yeah,
was with his 86 mile an hour fastball still like winning games.
it worked, didn't
Um,
it?
Yeah, they didn't need all-star pitching to win that World Series because it was a team effort. Um,
They had pitching that some people are like, really? But still, it worked.
and that team was just magical. And I'm sorry, but I think they beat the current lineup. And here's another reason why I think that. The '08 team had heart. They had a ton more heart than the current team has. Because I don't think anyone on that lineup right now is showing up at 5 in the morning to watch game film to see where they can improve. Whereas Chase Utley did that every game.
Well, Utley was a beast to begin with.
He was.
I mean, Utley's just one of those guys who you hated him because he wasn't on your team. He was
Mets
one
fans
of the
still hate him.
well, what's that?
I said Mets fans still hate him.
I mean, Utley was one of those types of players to where you hated him because he was not on your team.
Yeah.
Because of how hard he dug in to get that little extra inch to get to where he needed to be.
I mean, don't we all hang in there to get that little extra inch? Anyway. Well, to deliver an extra inch anyway. I'm good on this topic. It's early. We're all a bit
Yeah.
salty right now.
Yeah, I'm good. So
All
if
right.
that's the case, then that's the end of the first. And we will be right back.